Hello students. So let's start with our today's class of class 9 biology. We have started with the lesson 5 or chapter 1 of biology, that is the fundamental unit of life. So we have discussed that cell is called the fundamental unit of life, the discovery of cell, the various types of cells on the basis of the number of cells, either the organisms are unicellular or multicellular, the various shapes of cells on the basis of their functions. And I have given you one homework also to solve the two questions given on page number 59. So let us discuss the answers of these two questions. First question is, who discovered cells and how? So we have already discussed in the previous session that the cell was discovered by Robert Hooke in 1665. And how he discovered cell? He discovered it under his own, he has used the bark of the outer layer of the tree and studied it and watched it under his self-designed microscope. And he saw the honeycomb-like structure and he called these room-like structures, small room-like structures, he gave the term cell. Okay, so that was actually the dead cells, and later on the living cells were discovered by Anton van Leeuwenhoek. So in this you will write only the Robert Hooke discovered cell under his self-designed microscope when he saw the Koch cells under his self-designed microscope. Next question is, why is the cell called the structural and functional unit of life? That also we have discussed, that cell is called the structural and functional unit of life because the organism is made up of cell. And why it is called functional? Because all the functions performed by an organism is actually performed by its cell. So this is the answer of these two questions. Now let us start with the next topic. So next topic is, what is a cell made up of and what is the structural organization of a cell? So as I have already told you that cell has basic three components. So here you can see we saw that the cell has a special component called organelles. Means the cell's outer covering is called plasma membrane, and inside it encloses cytoplasm, and inside the cytoplasm there are special structures present which are called organelles. Now in the coming session we will study about the various components of cell. So here you can see we will study about plasma membrane, that is the outer covering of cell, nucleus and cytoplasm along with the various cell organelles. So all the activities inside the cell and interactions of the cell with the environment are possible due to these three features. So because of these three, all the activities of the cells are possible. So let us start with the plasma membrane first. It is also called as cell membrane and it forms the outermost covering of the cell. So let me show you the structure of a cell, then you will be more clear. Okay, so you can see here the structure of cell. So this is the cytoplasmic membrane, where it is written cytoplasmic membrane. It is called plasma membrane, which is the outer covering of the cell which protects the cell. We will discuss in detail the functions and structure. And in the center the green color structure is called nucleus, and the central fluid like substance inside the cell is called cytoplasm. Inside the cytoplasm the various structure you can see here are called cell organelles. So we will discuss in detail one by one the cell organelles, its function, and now we will take up the plasma membrane. So here you can see the plasma membrane is the outermost covering of the cell that separates the contents of the cell from external environment. So plasma membrane is the outermost covering and its function is it protects the cell as it forms the outer covering of the cell, and it also protect the it encloses the content of the cell and separate it from the external environment. So the plasma membrane allows or permit the entry and exit of some material in and out of the cell. Now what does this mean? As we know that plasma membrane is the outer covering and it encloses all the contents of the cell in it, but it doesn't mean that it will allow all the particles to enter or exit the cell. There is a special feature of plasma membrane due to which it is called selectively permeable membrane. So selectively permeable means selected, permeable means permission. So plasma membrane is called selectively permeable membrane because it allows the movement of some materials, that is the selected materials, to move into and out of the cell. That is why it is called selectively permeable membrane. And from this, it is an important question that why plasma membrane is called selectively permeable, because it allows only the selected substances to enter in or exit out from the cell. So let me give you an example related to this. If we will compare a cell with a room, the bricks of the room will form the walls of the cell. Similarly, the plasma membrane will act like a wall of the cell. Like the wall of a room protects the room from means it will not allow the entry or exit of any kind of person in and out of the room. Similarly, the plasma membrane will not allow any kind of entry of substance from outer environment into the cell. Similarly, like a room has a gate in it, a door in it, through which the person who are able to come into the room can enter the room. Similarly, the plasma membrane will allow only the selected substances to enter or exit the room. Now let us see the question, how does the movement of substances take place into the cell and how do the substances move out of the cell? As we know, first let me tell you why the plasma membrane is called selectively permeable. I will show you the diagram of plasma membrane that was given by a scientist, which is called fluid mosaic model. According to this model, the plasma membrane is made up of, let me show you the diagram first. So this is the diagram of the fluid mosaic model of plasma membrane. So here you can see the blue color structures are the proteins. Just ignore the channel, I will show you first. These are called proteins, and the structures, this yellow one you can see here, are the phospholipids. So these are the phospholipids. So the plasma membrane has a phospholipid bilayer. In between the phospholipid bilayer, we have proteins in it. So the proteins and phospholipids together will form the structure of plasma membrane. That is why the plasma membrane is selectively permeable, because phospholipids are fat soluble substances that will allow only the fat soluble substances to pass through it, and proteins will allow the water soluble substances to pass through it. We need not go in detail the structure, but that was only to make you more clear that why it is called selectively permeable, why only few substances can pass or move across the plasma membrane, because it is made up of two types of material, the proteins and phospholipids. So phospholipid will allow the fat soluble molecule to pass through it, and proteins will allow the water soluble molecules to pass through it. Fat soluble means only those molecules which are oily in nature, which have fats in them. So you know that water and oil, they cannot mix with each other. So there are two types of particles, substances, fat soluble, which will allow the fat soluble molecules to pass through it, and water soluble, through which will pass through this protein. So is it clear now why it is called selectively permeable? So next topic is, how do materials enter and leave the cells? Like we have discussed, the cell will allow the selected particles to move across it. So let us see the various ways by which the cell will allow these particles to move across it. So cell transport has been divided into two parts, passive transport and active transport. Passive transport is that kind of transport in which there is no requirement of energy for the transport of materials. And active transport, there will be energy requirement in the form of ATP. You know that ATP is synthesized by mitochondria, and it is called adenosine triphosphate, that we have already discussed in class 8. Now passive transport is of further two types, diffusion and osmosis. Facilitated diffusion is not there in your syllabus, so we will discuss only diffusion and osmosis. So first let us discuss, and the active transport is of two types, endocytosis and exocytosis. And osmosis is further of two types, endosmosis and exosmosis. Let us discuss one by one each of them. So in the first paragraph, they have given you about the movement of substances like CO2 and oxygen. They move across the cell by the process called diffusion. So diffusion, if we will talk about the definition, diffusion means the movement of substances across the cell from their higher concentration to lower concentration without any utilization of energy. If we talk about cell, mostly the gases like carbon dioxide and oxygen are transported by this method. Let me first give you a general example of diffusion. For example, when you spray perfume at one corner of the room, then after some time you will feel the fragrance at the other corner of the room also. Why is that so? Because the particles of the perfume will move from one side of the room towards the other side, that is from their higher concentration where it has been sprayed to their lower concentration. So this is a general example of diffusion. And if we talk about the cell, the gases like carbon dioxide and oxygen, they move across the cell through diffusion, and it is a spontaneous movement of the substance. And diffusion is a spontaneous movement in which the movement of substances will take place randomly from their high concentration to the low concentration. As you know that a cell is living because it takes oxygen, and by using oxygen the carbon dioxide is released out as a waste product by the cell. So it means the external environment of the cell has high concentration of oxygen as compared to the internal environment, due to which the oxygen will move from its high concentration to the low concentration. And the CO2, which is released out inside the cell as a waste product, have high concentration inside the cell as compared to the outer environment, due to which the CO2 or carbon dioxide will move from inside of the cell to outside, so that the oxygen and carbon dioxide can be directly exchanged by the cell by the process of diffusion. Let me show you this. So here you can see the diffusion of oxygen and carbon dioxide across the cell. So oxygen is getting in because of high concentration of oxygen in the extracellular fluid. So this is the plasma membrane, and this is the inner part of the cell, and this is the outer part of the cell. So CO2 is moving inside the cell, and oxygen is moving inside the cell, and CO2 is getting out of the cell because from its high concentration to low concentration. Actually the arrows are shown on the both sides depending upon the concentration of the gases shown here. Similarly the water, we will show you how the water move across a cell. So this was the movement of the various gases across the cell membrane through diffusion. Water also obeys the rule or law of diffusion, that it also moves from its high concentration to its low concentration. But the movement of water molecule across the membrane is not considered as diffusion. There is one other term given to it which is called osmosis. So this is called osmosis. So let us read the definition here. The movement of water across the plasma membrane is also affected by the amount of substance dissolved in it. What does it mean? We will discuss in detail what does the concentration means. I am using the word concentration here, but what does this term actually means? First let us see the definition. Osmosis is the passage of water from region of high water concentration through a semi-permeable membrane to a region of low water concentration. Means the water molecules will move from its high concentration to low concentration, but there should be a semi-permeable membrane should be there for the passage. Semi-permeable membrane means that membrane which does not allow the entry of other solute particles, but only the solvent particle like water will be able to pass across this membrane. Now what are these terms? Solute, solvent and concentration. So you have read in chemistry also that a solution has two parts. One is solute and one is solution. One is solvent. So solute is the solid part and solvent is the liquid part. For example, if we will make a mixture of a solution of sugar and water, then sugar will be considered as solute and water will be considered as solvent. And the amount of solute present in 100 ml of water will be considered as its concentration. So concentration means how much solute is present in a particular solution. So let us compare two solutions. If we will mix 10 grams of sugar in 100 ml of water in solution A, and on the other side if we will mix 20 gram of sugar in 100 ml of water, then in first case the solution A has less concentration because of less solute in it, and in the solution B the concentration will be more because of more solute in it. And how can we calculate the concentration of water? By subtracting the amount of solute. Like in first case the water will be only the water concentration will be 90, and in second case the water concentration will be 80. So in the first case the water concentration will be higher, and in the B solution the water concentration will be lower. And in osmosis the water will always move from its higher concentration towards its lower concentration. On the basis of that we have three type of we have three type of solutions on the basis of their tonicity. Tonicity means we have hypertonic, hypotonic and isotonic solutions. We will discuss in detail later. Let me show you the osmosis first. So here you can see osmosis as shown here. In the first case, this solution is separated by this membrane which is called semi-permeable membrane. Whenever you will write the definition of osmosis, the semi-permeable membrane is must. You have to mention this membrane. So in the left side you can see there is a solution because we have sugar molecule as solute and water molecule as solvent. So this solution has very less amount of solute, only one molecule you can see here. So the concentration of water is more in the left side of solution. In the right side you can see there are more particles of sugar as compared to the left side. So the concentration of water will be less at the right side. So the water will move from left side towards right side, from its high concentration to its low concentration. That is osmosis. So to prove this osmosis, we can see here the level of water has been decreased in the left side and level of water has been increased on the right side due to movement of water from left to right side through semi-permeable membrane. So in this picture the osmosis has been shown. Now it will be more clear to you. So we will later on take up the types of solutions on the basis of the concentration inside and outside the cell.